the chartering service was held at Cherry Law Christian Church.
Oh,
In the afternoon, on a Sunday afternoon, so that ministers from the different churches in the presbytery could participate.
and how many members at that point were there, do you think?
Well, the charter had at least 50 names on it, but we learned later that, at least I learned later, that some of those people had signed the charter just so that we would have the correct number.
At the end of the year, the first, after we were official church, I looked at the year-end report, we had 46 members.
The exciting thing was, even though when we first started out, I'm going back, we didn't have a pastor as such. But they asked the pastors who were willing, were in the presbytery, to come and preach for us on Sunday afternoon at the Gerrie Law Christian Church. So that summer, that whole summer, we were treated to,
Wow.
People who, and a lot of them brought musicians with them.
Oh,
So that was
nice.
really neat
Yeah.
too. And we always stayed afterwards and had a time of fellowship, because
Wow.
we didn't have a home as
Right.
such. Anytime we had an opportunity to meet, we would have a fellowship time afterwards, because that was our only connection with each other.
Right. So did you have different ministries too, or just that was?
At
or-
that point, we did
No,
not. That was
okay.
the first
That was
few
the-
months.
that was
And
the-
then when we went to the Seventh-day Adventist is when we really began to develop our ministries. But there again, we were only there on Sundays.
Right,
So
right.
whatever we did had to be portable. For instance, when we did our Chrismon tree, it had to go in and out every
Right.
Sunday morning. So,
Yeah.
and that was true with everything that
With
we used. But we were so fortunate because we had such good cooperation with the other churches. We also met at the Methodist Church that very first summer at night, on Wednesday nights,
Wow.
and had a time of study and prayer. And then we also had a lot of help from Victor,
Victor Morgan.
at the, I can't think of it,
St.
Luther? Yeah, Episcopal, thank you.
I know.
And we had a lot of special studies while we were at the Seventh-day Adventist on Sunday at his church on different days of the week or
That's
nights
wonderful.
of the week. And it was
Wow.
just amazing,
Yes.
it was,
Yeah.
we were just so unknown as to local people
Uh-huh.
as Presbyterians. We were just totally a mystery. And so to get this kind of cooperation from the pastors and from the churches in the community was fabulous.
Yeah,
It was
that's
just such a
wonderful.
godsend. So many evidences that God was at work.
You're at the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now you are actually commissioned. Is that the right word? Commissioned? Chartered.
Chartered.
So how long did it take then at that point for you to think about a building of your own? Was that always in the works? Were you always thinking about that kind of down the road? Or did something kind of prompt that to happen?
I think we were very comfortable where we were on Sundays. The problem came about for where would we have meetings, like Bible studies and so forth, during the week. And many of us had studies in our homes. Groups would come to our homes and we would have Bible studies and meetings there. We did not have a permanent office, which was a difficult thing. So there were some things that needed to be worked out. But as I said before, it just seemed like along each step of the way, the solution was waiting by the time we got there.
Huh. So what was the solution then at that point? You said that things kind of moved and you felt like you needed
Well,
some
after the
bigger
charter, we
space
were
or
still
more.
meeting in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I think we became a little too comfortable there after, we were there, 7 or 8 years?
7 years.
And I think maybe we had worn out our welcome. They were raising the rent that we were paying. And I think it was then time for us to do something else. We had a committee to go out and look for property, and they found this place right here. It was a retail shop. There were 3 stores here, but it was for sale. And we made arrangements to to rent this property and to have authority to change from 3 stores into the building that we have now. And that was in 2011. And Carol was still our pastor at that time.
Okay, and how, was it still, what was the number then, Tom? We went from 46 to maybe,
I can't say.
no, but you had grown?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, during that
Well,
time.
we
But
were
not like
visible.
we wanted to, because, see, we were, I mean, that's so far out from downtown Blue Ridge. And finding that place was truly a gift. But it was not it was not a church you rode by every day. You never, I mean, hardly anybody would have even
Right.
seen it, because it's off of the main highway too.
Right.
And we felt like we were missing people. We were not
Yeah.
connecting with people who were coming up here as weekenders. We knew from the beginning that we would have to grow a good while before we would attract any local people. And that our future was going to be based really on those who came up as weekenders and then moved up here.
And that's pretty, that's proven
That's
to
really
be true.
proven to be true, right.
Right.
And in those days, GPS did not locate the church for
And it
anybody.
didn't.
Nobody stood on the corner and waved people in.
Oh, and we were not allowed to put a sign up
No,
on
we
the
couldn't
road.
put signs on the
Highway
road.
Department.
Highway Department wouldn't allow signs on there.
Hervey, yes.
We actually were learning more, getting to know more people in the Blairsville area than here because of our lack of connection here and what we had with the Seventh-day Adventists.
But we did try portable signs for a while.
Yes.
We were
Yeah.
reprimanded.
Did the Seventh-day Adventists let you put a sign up in front of their church at all? Did you have
Across the road from the entrance to the facility.
Oh.
Yeah.
It could not be on their facility.
Interesting. So then, all right, so how long then did it take though for you to move from there to, I know you were there 7 years, but then you knew you had to move, you were looking for a place. How long did that take?
Well, the decision was made when the church community gathered, and we all had a heart-to-heart discussion about what would be involved, and if people were willing to make that jump into the unknown again.
Uh-huh.
And the decision was made that, yes, it certainly would be what God wanted us to do, and it would hopefully make us visible so
Yes,
that people
yes.
could join us. And so then we began the process of, after that vote was taken and the decision was made, we began, it was a few months in happening. And the main thing was the design, because we just had this shell and we could do whatever we wanted to with that space. And so that was a fun time because everybody had input into how to design it, and how to put it together.
And so in all of you, because you were from the very beginning now, you've grown, I mean, you've started with this germ of an idea, and now you're going into your, I guess, third home, right? Was that, I mean, because you went from Cherry Log to Seventh-day Adventist to here,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, Sonya, did you envision that down the road that you would have a place like this? I mean, is that kind of what you were hoping when you were first meeting?
Exactly. Down the road, as you said, because we were such a small group and Presbyterian sort of, I guess, you know me in that place. But, yes, we wanted it to grow, and we wanted our own place because, I don't know, things like when we had potluck, second Sunday potluck, or anything for that matter, the Seventh-day Adventists had a very nice facility down the hill. But it wasn't ours, so if we wanted to do something, it might interfere with something they had planned, so it was great to have our own place for that, for sure.
I'm sure you were
Plus-
thrilled.
Oh, yeah. Plus, they had an organ and a grand piano. And the 4-member choir, 6-member choir, sang,
Were you in the choir?
yes.
So,
Well, early on though, in the steering committee, we decided we needed to start committees.
Mm.
And that fell to me to come up with committees after we were part of chartered. And from day one, we had a planning and development committee to study the situation. And we had 3 different ones before we decided to take any action. Because they said, well, we're not ready yet. So they'd look around. There are lots of things available, but they aren't suitable. And for rent or whatever.
And it sounded like you incorporated not just the committee, but the whole, you said you met as a church too, community, to decide whether
We had
it
a
was time.
congregational meeting and a discussion of whether or not to, was that,
Yes, that's right.
was that
To move
related
it-
to
to
this
move-
property or?
Yeah, that was to move ahead with this.
And there were some negative people. They didn't think we were ready to do that, nor could we afford it. I was told later, we 4 were listening without speaking until hearing everything that was said. I thought it was time for us to speak, so after hearing what everybody said, I spoke in favor of it. And shortly thereafter, Gerrie spoke in favor of it. And it was passed by a wide majority.
So you
I
finally
still
got
have
behind
those
it.
ballots. It was secret ballot voting.
And so then, how long did it, you said 3 months was all it took at that point,
Now, that was before we could get into the building and
After
actually
we
start the
purchased.
construction.
Oh, okay, that was the 3 months.
Demolition and
So
construction.
we were still at the Seventh-day Adventist Church while this was being reconstructed for us.